Okay, people, so in Jujutsu Kaisen, there's a lot of mysteries going on right now, a lot of suspense with the beginning of the Culling game. We've officially entered the Culling game. It has begun, but also a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to discuss in terms of, for starters, yet again, more hints into Yuji's heritage, his father or his mother or his, I guess, parent, so to speak, regarding the whole connection between him and Kenjaku. There is a lot to discuss. The wrapping up of getting Hakari and Kirara into this whole, ordeal. There's just a lot. The introduction to some of the newer characters that are going to be a part of the Culling game that are very, very deadly. So, yeah, I don't want to waste your time. We got a lot to talk about, a lot of ground to cover. Without further ado, let's talk a little bit of that Jujutsu Kaisen greatness! Yo, Kenjaku, like, what are you doing, fam? You entering people's dreams now, lad? Let's do it.
No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done.
Okay, people, so I gotta take it back a little bit because last time I talked about Jujutsu Kaisen, I want to say we were on chapter like 155, if I'm not mistaken. Well, jumping to 156, for starters, we wrapped up everything regarding Megumi trying to get Kirara to listen to him, essentially him defeating Kirara, and I ain't gonna lie, Kirara's ability, the explanation of it gave me a headache. It was really freaking complicated, which for better or worse, because some people could say like, oh, that's a good thing. I ain't gonna lie, I like that there's a lot of intricacy to it, but it was extremely complicated, especially like not only the ability itself, because the ability for the most part, like, it wasn't basic, but like you could kind of get a grasp of it, but the whole explanation of how Megumi was able to override it and able to outsmart Kirara kind of blew my mind. And what the hell, like 1 + 1 is 17? And the chapter had ended up wrapping up with Megumi pinning down Kirara, saying, yo, please just listen to me, just listen to what we have to say, which, hey, if anything is going to get somebody to listen to you, especially somebody that is on that vibe of Kirara, of like, yo, I need things hot or whatever, if you get defeated by them and they get down and grovel, like, please just listen, then yeah, you're probably gonna listen, because like, yo, you just took me down, so you gotta have some type of goodness in you for you to get on your hands and knees and beg after you just defeated me. Like, yeah, maybe I should hear you out. And then 157, basically Yuji turned into a human punching bag. It was literally like he was the punching bag and Hakari was like Ippo or some shit, training for the next battle, because oh my god, first of all, the art made it really, like, I could almost feel the bone crunching as I'm looking at the pages, because Yuji basically took the biggest whooping from Hakari. He allowed Hakari to beat him down, essentially to show him that, yo, I'm gonna let you do it, but I'm gonna stand strong and I'm gonna show you my convictions. It was a battle of basically willpower, determination, and Yuji just trying to showcase to Hakari, like, yo, I mean business right now. I'm not on no BS. I'm not trying to trick you. I'm not trying to get you arrested or brought in for questioning for what you're doing with this Fight Club stuff. I have a mission and I'm trying to show you that I'm for real about it. And I ain't gonna lie, when I was seeing Yuji just getting the tar beat out of him, it kind of reminded me, brought me back to, for some reason, Gon, when Canary was just whipping his butt all over the place, beating him down when he was trying to go to see Kitawa. For some reason, that kind of gave me that kind of vibe. I know it's a little bit different because Yuji was essentially doing that so that Hakari will listen and join in on them with this whole Culling game situation. But I was just like, yo, Yuji really got the stomping in his face. It was, well, a fist stomping, I guess you could say, because Hakari was just beating him down. I was like, oh my god. And for the most part, it was like basically, hey, I'm gonna take this whipping, but at the same time I'm gonna explain to you my role and how I'm trying to, and how I look at things in general. Like, I'm essentially a cog in the machine, and that's the role that I'm playing in all of this. And in the end, after Hakari beat the living lights out of him, I gotta stress that because it was brutal. It was really, really brutal. Again, a la Gon getting the tar beat out of him by Canary. It was brutal, but in the end, it worked because Hakari, after punching him down a million times and, Yuji continuing to get back up, he's like, alright, yo, Megumi and whoever the hell else is up there, come down here, let's talk. I got a proposition for you guys. And boom, we're covering so much ground right now. We just jumped through 2 chapters of, just kind of getting everything up to speed, but also understanding where I'm going with this. Because then 158 came along, and 158, I can't breeze through this one because a lot of things were said, a lot of things were done. For starters, Hakari is just in amazement because, remember, he wouldn't listen to anything because, for starters, he was in disbelief that Gojo and all of these people, everything that that they were telling him happened of Gojo getting sealed and stuff, Hakari couldn't believe it. So that was adding to his suspicions of, nah, they on some BS right now. They playing with me. So when he heard like, oh snap, Gojo was actually sealed and he actually was like believing this time around, it was mind-blowing to him, because he even says like, these are some of the people that raised me essentially in Jujutsu High. To hear that everybody is just out of the picture now and bad things have happened, Yaga was murdered and stuff like that, it was kind of mind-blowing to him, even though he wasn't like shocked and crying or anything like that, because again, that kind of showcases Hakari. He's built different. He's built different. If somebody cut to the meme of the dude cracking the egg and saying I'm built different, that's Hakari.
I'm built different.
Although I guess instead of cracking the egg, he'd probably have Yuji's face as he's cracking his face like, oh, I can't get over that. And I love how, even though pretty much, you know, the next day the whole Zenin clan was wiped out, I love how Megumi was throwing his weight around a little bit, like, you know, just to get things moving now. Hey, you know, I'm the head of the Zenin clan now, fam. Like, yo, that happened 5 seconds ago, and the whole clan was wiped out 1 day later. Like, okay, you know, sometimes you gotta fake it till you make it, lad. But hey, whatever gets the job done, right? Because ultimately Megumi was trying to really push forth, like, yo, I got the power. We can make a deal. Like, yo, I got some things going. I can make it happen, whatever it is that you want. Because Hakari, at the end of the day, he still has that mindset. You know, they say you could take me out the hood, but can't take the hood out me. That's Hakari right there. Like, yo, I bet, like, I'll work with you guys, but his whole idea and everything he wants to do is basically make his fight clubs legit. He's like, within all this chaos, everything that's going on right now, people now actually know about sorcerers and all of this, you know, jujutsu stuff. Like, I could actually make this kind of legit and maneuver. And if he's the head of the Zenin clan, that'll push things even better, because, oh, these are the, you know, the top heads, the top families and all this. Even though, again, Maki did the damn thing. Oh my God, what is our babe doing right now? Maki, are you all right? Do you need a blanket or anything? I'm here for you, sweetheart. Right here. Papa Fornev, I got you, girl. Look at me simping for Maki in the middle of a chapter. Like, what am I doing right now? And then we get a little more introduced to this character, Hajime Kashimo, and he's basically looking mighty badass, if I do say so myself. Apparently, he added a new rule to the Culling game that allows you access to each player's information. So, and he's bossing, because out of everybody in there, I believe him and one other person are the leaders right now. They have like the most points, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, dude is beasting already. I think they said that he killed like 40 people or something like that. Insane. And here's a big golden nugget that I want to talk about that was kind of a little bit hinted at and made even more suspense, because a lot of suspense is going on. Little by little, Gege is just ever so subtly dipping their toes into this information and then quickly moving on to the next thing. So you're just kind of left there guessing, like, what is going on? Because it's announced that Yuji is already a participant of the Culling games, despite the fact that he has not entered the colony yet to be able to, you know, be declared a participant. So it makes you wonder, well, how? Why? What's going on? And it said that Sukuna might be a sorcerer who entered a contract with Kenjaku and became a cursed object. And that is freaking huge, because to this point, we still don't necessarily know all the ties that Sukuna has to Kenjaku. What happened back then? I definitely would love a flashback there. Like, who knows? Maybe down the road, they could do even a film about the whole thing, because this is huge stuff. But it definitely already hinted that there are some run-ins between the two of them. I would love to see what Sukuna is going to do next, because we haven't seen Sukuna in a little bit now. I mean, at the end of the day, it's fine if we don't see him for a little bit, just because everything that happened in the Shibuya incident, a lot of it was due to Sukuna just doing whatever he wanted to do. But when we do cut back to it, I want to see some craziness. I want to see Sukuna at some given point having, even if it's a few minutes, of control over Yuji's body, and him interact with Kenjaku, and what, you know, if they're going to throw down, if they're going to reveal more hints or whatever, because it seems as though a lot of these people were sorcerers, regular humans back in the day, including Sukuna. So I want to find out how Sukuna fell into becoming the curse and the monster that he is today, likewise with Kenjaku. Upon all of this, again, them trying to dig deep on how to get basically Sumiki out of the game. They're trying to find another player with 100 points, because they found out that, oh, okay, I could sacrifice points in order to change rules. And if they could find somebody with over 100 points, they'll be able to use them to sacrifice those points to basically make a new rule that'll allow Sumiki to exit the game. And at the same time, they're also still looking for that angel, which once they find angel is going to be big. Like, there's a lot of key points that have already been set up. There's a lot of foreshadowing, but definitely huge setups to come that's already been set in place for big things to come. Like, again, when we run into the angel, and then now they're looking for Kashimo, and another one that was said to have the same amount of points, or the points needed in order to get this rule change done. A guy guy named Hiromi, which cut into chapter 159 that you would argue was like, okay, I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I really like, just keeping it a buck, I really enjoyed chapter 159. I feel like every chapter Gege Akutami has very intentional purpose with almost everything that is being established, and also is showcasing that Hiromi is going to be a very pivotal part of the Culling game. So I wasn't mad at it. I could see fans being like, yo, why are we getting an entire chapter on some character that was just introduced? And I'm sure at least people are probably like, I get it, but I don't really care. I want to get back to the Culling game. For me, I just took it in stride of, okay, more setup. Like, we're in a lot of setup right now. Like, come on, for crying out loud, we just had Shibuya incident, which was on the gas for like, I don't even know, what was it, a year plus. It was like 40 something acts of the Shibuya incident. Like, I am totally fine with, yeah, let's build up some of these characters like Hiromi, like Kashimo. Let's build them up so that when we actually get to, you know, the nitty gritty of it all and we start unveiling things, I'm going to care about them. I don't want to just walk into there and be like, oh, he who, what? Okay, yeah, cool guy. Can we move on? Can we get back to, like, this is how you make it that you care about these characters, because Hiromi's chapter and just finding out how he came to be in terms of like where he's at mentally, a lot of it, which it was a reflection of Japanese society in general, kind of interesting stuff of a social commentary from Gege Akutami, that apparently he was a lawyer, and apparently he was very like just mortified at the judicial system over there in Japan, because real life stuff over there, if you go to court over there, 99.9% of the time you are going to be found guilty. That's the judicial system over there. It's a very horrible system that they have in place of basically you're screwed. If you go to a courtroom over there in Japan, you're going to be messed up. And essentially he was on a case where a guy, he actually had won the preliminary or the first, you know, hearing, and then ultimately in the second hearing they reversed it and gave him life in prison. And it kind of bugged this dude out, because it's like, fam, you know, I got a really strong sense of justice. I'm trying my hardest. Like, what's the point of my job? Is my job just a placeholder? Just at the end of the day, there's nothing you can change about the system. So he has a strong sense of justice, which makes me feel like he's going to be an asset to our side. Maybe I'm wrong on that, because then in the end, after the court hearing and the guy was sent to, you know, to life in prison and stuff like that, Hiromi just bugged the hell out, picked up with the mallet and was like, nah fam, we're having another hearing, which was kind of sick. And it also showcases just how his evolution began into wielding his powers or whatever. So I liked it. Again, gave us context, gave us characterization to a brand new character that's going to be pivotal in the Culling games. And if anybody between him and Kashimo, which who knows, maybe it could be a plot twist and something totally different happens, I could see this Hiromi guy being the one that's going to give up the points and allow Sumiki to leave the game, because wouldn't you want to, instead of allowing the system, you know, if we're going back into this whole him wanting to change things, wouldn't he essentially want to free the person that is trapped in this barrier, the system, so to speak? That would kind of go along with what Hiromi's whole character arc has been up until this point, or his whole characterization. He hasn't had an arc, it's just a chapter. You know what I'm saying. And then the latest chapter as of the recording of this video, 160, which was huge. Yeah, this was one of my favorites in a while, and probably one of the best ones, because like the Culling games, it feels like a few chapters ago it was like, oh, it began. No, this chapter it really began, and just seeing you know, old Geto, now we know him as Kenjaku, also at some point he was Norito Shikamo, this dude right here, Kenjaku, seeing his face, it felt like, oh, we're back on it, fam. Because it starts off with Kenjaku apologizing, and he's speaking to one of Yuji's classmates from the occult, if I'm not mistaken, the occult club that we haven't seen in a real long time. He's apologizing and explaining to them that I'm the sorcerer who placed this barrier around here, and just giving us context and something really interesting, to be honest with you, because at first, and it wasn't until we actually found out that it was Sasaki, and then it kind of, you know, pieced things together. But I like that Gege remembered, like, oh yeah, whatever happened to the people from the occult club and stuff like that, Yuji's old classmates. Kind of reminds me of like Taite Kubo and Bleach, when every now and then he would go back to Ichigo's classmates and we would see them again. Like, that's something that I felt Gege did right here, which is not the biggest role in the world. I don't want them to have the biggest role in the world, like they have no big significance to things, but if it ties in and allows to set things up and give a little bit of the world building and some exposition via those characters without it being like an overwhelming stay, or just in general being like boring or anything like that, I'm all for it. And it was by far anything but boring. It was very interesting and had me at the edge of my seat for a little bit while I was reading that part, because he says this place was chosen as the, you know, battleground, so to speak, where people are going to kill each other in this game called the Culling game. Hey! Kenjaku was introducing this shit like if it was, I don't know, Dave and Buster's, like, yo, come on down. And here was another interesting thing that you could pluck and kind of even dissect a little bit, where Kenjaku says, not far from here is the remains of an execution that went down, and that's basically the catalyst to this barrier, essentially. I'm wondering if that's where maybe Kenjaku's original body was executed. That kind of gave a little bit of a setup there for something to build off of there. It could be that's where Sukuna was originally executed when he was a sorcerer, where Kenjaku when he was an original person before, you know, the curse, because I feel like Kenjaku was a person at some point and then became this curse, and likewise with Sukuna. So maybe that's what that was referring to, and again, that's a little subtle but ever so grand setup in my opinion, unless it's something that I'm missing and somebody was already executed. Maybe they're talking about, I don't know, Yaga's dead body or some shit. And essentially the whole point of why Kenjaku is approaching Sasuke in this dreamlike state is that he can't impose unreasonable conditions while creating this barrier, so he has to give the people that are already inside of where he's constructing the barrier one opportunity, one chance, like, yo, you can leave right now if you want to. If not, you know, you can stay and be a part of this Culling game, which I like that it gives some restrictions that Kenjaku can't just do whatever he wants. Like if he's going to place the barrier, he got to give heads up like, hey, you can leave if you want, since you're in your dreams right now, you're knocked out. I'm going to give you an opportunity. And also a little bit of a setup there of saying that the space between dreams and reality is a curse. That's something interesting to note as well, whether it be that that's something how Kenjaku can manipulate around, or, you know, something interesting there. And then that beautiful double spread, which you could argue it's not really beautiful. I don't know why I found beauty to it, because I also have my phone on dark mode, so all I saw was just blackness. You see the two characters, you see Kenjaku holding Sasuke, walking Sasuke across the barrier, and it's just all blackness around them. And it again gave me like some Bleach vibes, like the way Tite Kubo would utilize the color black. Like that's how I felt about them. It looked really cool. Very subtle, very simple, just two characters, but in all black. And thank goodness Sasuke chose to get the hell out of Dodge, because we see when we cut back that a giant curse is destroying Sasuke's house where they were. Sasuke would have been, you know, donezo if they didn't choose, like, yeah, let me leave this giant nightmare of a murderous game. And then another giant nugget of information that yet again adds on to the mystique about Yuji's whole, you know, heritage, where he's from, who are his parents, because Kenjaku, before leaving Sasuke, says, oh right, I almost forgot, thank you for getting along with my son. Yuji is the son of a curse, and it blows my mind, because we already had subtle hints when we seen the flashback of Yuji's father with that mother that had the, you know, scar around their head, similar to how Geto has it, Norito Shikamo, Kenjaku. So that pretty much confirms that essentially he's a half-breed. He's human and cursed, which is, you know, nothing breaking the mold of half-breeds. How many half-breeds we've seen in anime and manga, all the way going back to, you know, Dragon Ball Z, Gohan, half Saiyan, half human and shit. So that's not necessarily breaking, you know, the whole world or anything like that, but it definitely explains a lot how early on Yuji, before all of this went down, before he swallowed one of Sukuna'S fingers, how he was just faster than everybody by a ridiculous amount and all of that jazz. It all just got explained right there, that the way he said it is as if like, no, that's my son because he's partially a curse. Which, Kenjaku, you freak, you absolute freak. You really just, yo, you jumping around in the sheets with dudes, huh? Like, yo, it's a freaky situation to say the least, that you're hopping in the sheets with the main character's parent. Like, Jujutsu Kaisen, fam. Jujutsu Kaisen. And then Sasuke awakens alongside a lot of people, and they're outside and they're looking, and all they see is like this black void, and it kind of looks like an unfinished DLC map. And everyone had the same dream about Kenjaku, except Sasuke's was the only one that had that mention of thank you for getting along with my son, which all but confirms, hey, that's, you know, Yuji's parent, so to speak, or one half of their parents, which again, I can't wait to get the full-on backstory of why Yuji's dad couldn't let it go. I understand you love somebody, but, you know, no matter how much you love them, if they're gone, you gotta accept it sometimes, and it's tough. Believe me, seeing that, I don't blame Yuji's father if basically like, yo, you lost the love of your life and you have an opportunity to be with them. It's some crazy out of this world shit of what's going on with that person, but you're so madly in love that you're gonna go with it. And if that's the case, why Yuji's father continued on with, you know, Kenjaku that was inside of the body of his former lover, I get it. It's crazy as it sounds, but I get it. Love makes you do some wild stuff. But then we cut back to Yuji and them, and they're deciding, you know, what roles are going to be played, and seemingly Panda is going to go along with Hakari, while Yuji and Megumi go together, and Kirara's going to wait out of it, which I felt like that was, to a certain degree, Hakari showing that he cares about Kirara, not wanting to put Kirara in danger. I get it that there's more of like a tactical thing to it, of like, hey, if Yuta shows up, because, you know, we can't get into contact with him, phones don't work in the barrier or whatnot, but I felt like that was more so a caring, so to speak, for Kirara, of like, no, you stay out of danger, you know. Also, I'm looking forward to what seemingly is being set up of Hakari versus Kashimo. We're gonna get Hakari in his first real battle since being, you know, fully introduced into the manga. I want to see that because Kashimo looks strong and Hakari is, well, Hakari. And it says that we got 7.5 days before Sumiki has to declare that they're a part of the Culling Games, and they approach the Kagane and say, yo, we're going in. And basically the Culling Games now, for real this time, is really beginning. Yuji, Panda, Megumi, and Hakari, as Kirara stands out. It's all about to begin, and I ain't gonna lie, I'm so freaking hyped for this. I'm so pumped for this. Gege Akutami, legendary creator, already a legendary creator, and we just 60 chapters into their first big series, but yeah, it's that damn serious for me, okay? I'm very, very hyped. Curious what you guys think. All predictions and theories you got right now. Everything you got on your brain about Kenjaku saying, yo, thanks for being nice to my son, my lord. Your thoughts on how things are going to go down with Kashimo and Hiromi. Your thoughts in general of everything. When Yuta's going to show up, how's that going to play out? Like, the Culling Game is spicy as hell right now, fam. And if we even do half of what the Shibuya incident did, we're in very, very good hands. And I think with all the setups and foreshadowing we've had thus far, we're in very, very good hands. And your overall thoughts and expectations for the Jujutsu Kaisen manga with chapter 161 and beyond. Let's go, baby. Culling Game. It is time for the disaster. That's all I have for this one, though. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Hit that bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links are in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day, and remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life. Bye. Have an awesome day. Peace in, and once again, baby, Culling Games, let's go. I kind of like Jujutsu Kaisen. Yeah, have an awesome one.
You